I walked into the office fresh off a 3-day regional ops review, riding high. We'd crushed our Q3 numbers, landed a new budget bump, and for once, upper management didn't kill our roadmap. I was ready to celebrate, maybe even let my team cut out early for beers. But the second those elevator doors opened, something was off. No noise. Not even the usual click of Kyrie's keyboard or Ren's music leaking through her earbuds. The lights were on, but the hallway was dead. I passed 2 empty conference rooms and rounded the corner to our pod. It was empty, cleared out, desks gone, chairs gone, monitors gone, not a damn sticky note left behind. I turned around and caught this guy from finance. Dylan, maybe? I'd seen him in the break room before. I asked where the engineering pod went. He shrugged like it wasn't a big deal and said, "They moved your crew to the basement last Thursday." Then he just walked off, like that was normal. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I didn't take the elevator. I practically sprinted down 2 flights of stairs, past the janitor's closet, and into the lowest level of the building, where they used to store extra printer paper and broken chairs. That's where I found them. My team, jammed between exposed pipes and rusted ceiling grates, sitting at mismatched folding tables like they were renting space in someone's unfinished garage. The walls were peeling. Ceiling leaked. Dax had his laptop propped on a storage bin. Nora was wiping something off a busted power strip with her sleeve. Luke, who used to go by Finola back when the company still respected people enough to call them by their damn names, stood up when he saw me. "Deere gave our office to a specialist," he said. 30 minutes notice. Said it was urgent. "Who the hell is the specialist?" I asked. Luke just shrugged. "Some guy named Bastian. He rolled in with a ring light and 2 monitors before we were even done unplugging. I left them there, told Luke I'd be back, took the stairs 2 at a time and walked straight into our old wing. And there he was. Deere. Standing next to some guy in a slim-cut blazer and designer loafers, setting up at my old desk like it was always his. Deere didn't even flinch. He beamed like a game show host. "This is Bastian," he said, clapping the guy's shoulder. "He's a productivity guru. We're revolutionizing the department. Your team will manage things downstairs." For now, I didn't say a word. I just stared at the desk, where I'd spent 6 years building a real operation, now repurposed as some consultant's landing pad. Then I turned and walked out. I headed back down without a word, pushed through the fire door, and stopped just inside the basement. No one noticed me right away. Vega caught my eye. 32 years at this company, he muttered, not loud, but not whispering either. And I end up eating lunch next to a sewer pipe. I didn't say anything to that. Just walked to the center of the room, looked each of them in the eye, and dropped my voice low. "Start backing up your work, all of it. Project folders, email threads, vendor contacts. Copy it somewhere safe." Quietly, Kyrie sat up straighter. "Is this permanent?" "Feels like it," Noor said. "Don't talk," I said. "Just move. And keep it between us." Nobody asked more questions. They just nodded and got to work. For the next 2 weeks, we didn't say much beyond what had to be said. No bitching, no venting, just cold focus. The team that used to argue over code styling and coffee creamers now worked like a machine. Quiet, steady, surgical. We still hit all our deadlines. All the client tickets got resolved. Hardware requests got fulfilled. If someone upstairs looked at the metrics, they'd think we were still sitting in our nice second-floor corner office, not trapped between a water heater and exposed ductwork. I didn't just tell them to pack and back up. I made them document everything. About halfway through, Dax finally looked up from his screen and asked me, "Why are we doing this? If they've already tossed us down here, why play nice?" I paused, looked around at all of them. 7 people shoved into a furnace closet, acting like professionals while the company treated us like leftovers. "Because what we do still matters," I said. Dax didn't nod or argue, just turned back to his keyboard and kept typing. By the end of the second week, Vega had turned one of the storage shelves into a cable wall. Noor had rerouted the Wi-Fi through a booster she mounted on the damn sprinkler system. We weren't just surviving, we were still shipping. One night, I caught Ren asleep on her laptop bag, code editor still open. Kyrie tossed a hoodie over her and didn't say a word. I made a mental note right then. If I ever had to take a bullet for anyone in this place, it'd be one of them. And Bastian, He hadn't been back to the basement once. 2 days later, I got the email. Straight from the CEO's office. No CCs, no assistant. Just a line. You're invited to present performance highlights at next Thursday's board meeting. Bring any data you feel is relevant. I read it twice, then stood up and walked into the basement like I was carrying a grenade. Luke looked up. What happened? We've got a shot, I said. Board meeting. CEO asked me to present. Kyrie dropped her pen. Vega sat up straighter. Noor grinned. Ren looked like she might actually cry. Wait, you're presenting? She asked. Yeah. About our performance, Dax said. So they noticed. Looks like it. The mood flipped in seconds. After 2 weeks in the basement, people were finally smiling. Vega started brushing dust off his polo like he had a job interview. Ren pulled up the calendar to block off Thursday. I didn't say much more. I didn't want to jinx it. Morning of the meeting, I got in early. No coffee, just water and printed slides. I'd even shaved. I was halfway up the central stairwell when I heard footsteps. Deer, of course. He stepped right in front of me at the second floor landing, all fake charm and thin smiles. Where you headed? He asked. I held up the folder. Board meeting. CEO requested. He tapped the folder lightly, like it was a piece of trash. Yeah, about that. We made a change. We? The board wants a forward-looking approach, he said, voice dropping. Not more old metrics. Bastion will be presenting. Big ideas, strategic pivots, future state, that kind of thing. I turned around and went back downstairs. When I opened the basement door, everyone stopped what they were doing. Kyrie blinked first. What happened? Ren was already closing her laptop. I knew it. Blocked me on the stairs, I said. Bastion's presenting instead. Silence. Ren shook her head, opened a Word doc, and muttered, I'm halfway through my resignation letter. That's it. I'm done not yet, I told her. Keep packing. Quietly. That week dragged. Everyone kept their heads down, but the energy was gone. Even Dax was only doing half of what he normally knocked out. You could feel it, the slow leak of faith. Then late Friday, I heard it from the receptionist while grabbing coffee upstairs. Bastion's presentation didn't go well, she whispered like it was gossip. Apparently, he couldn't answer half the questions. Board wasn't impressed. Next morning, Deer came down to the basement. First time he'd shown his face since tossing us in here. He brought coffee. Acted casual, like he just happened to be in the neighborhood. So, he said, smiling like nothing ever happened, we've had some reorg talks. How would you guys feel about moving back up to the East Wing? Fresh desks, new equipment. You've earned it. Noor blinked. Really? We're reevaluating space usage, he said. Could be a good time to reset. I nodded slowly. Appreciate that. Ren looked at me like I'd grown a second head. Deer left, thinking he'd scored points. The second he was gone, Kyrie turned. You're not seriously taking that, are you? I didn't answer. I just grabbed my phone, stepped outside, and made a call. It was time. 2 days later, Cameron walked through the front doors like she owned the building. She didn't. Yet. But I had a feeling by the end of the day, someone upstairs was going to wish she did. She was 6 feet tall, wore black on black, and carried zero patience for corporate games. We hadn't worked together in years, but we kept in touch. She owed me a favor. I just cashed it in. I thought you said this place had a tech backbone, she muttered, eyes scanning the dusty baseboards in the lobby. It used to, I said. Let's take the scenic route. We started walking the long loop, past HR, marketing, product. I was hoping we'd bump into the right people. Turned out, I didn't need to wait long. Halfway down the main hallway, there he was, Deer, necktie too tight, fake smile plastered on. And next to him, Bastion, holding a sleek black tablet like it was a damn award. They were showing 2 men in expensive shoes and glossy name tags around like this was a startup showcase. Ah, Deer called out. Perfect timing. Come meet some of our visiting partners from Keon Group. I smiled. Of course. He pointed between us. This is Bastion, our new strategic lead. And this? Cameron, she said, cutting in. Chief Tech Ops at TerraTech. Also on Keon's advisory board. You're Jason Bastion? Bastion straightened like he was being knighted. That's me. You might have seen our transformation strategy over at Westridge. Total process overhaul. Cameron cocked her head. Westridge. Yeah, I was on the post-mortem panel. His smile faltered. We saw delays, not improvements, she said flatly. Missed launch, attrition spike, security flagged for compliance gaps. You called that a success? The two clients glanced at each other. Bastian tried to pivot. Well, we pulled your access 6 weeks early, she said. Legal never cleared your follow-up model. Silence. Deere looked like he was choking on his own tie. I think there's been some... I stepped forward, nice and calm. Actually, I should probably mention something too, I said. Cameron's company just hired me. I'll be leading a new engineering division, full staff. My team starts next Monday. Deere blinked. Excuse me? Already signed, full benefits, remote option. Double salary. The color drained from his face. That's unethical, he snapped. You can't just poach people mid-project. Cameron crossed her arms. We're not poaching. We're liberating. Your board approved it last night. No non-competes in their contracts. And we offered everyone roles that match or exceed current compensation. You can't just... We can, she said. And we did. Bastian looked like he'd just swallowed a thumbtack. The Keon guys stayed silent, but one of them pulled out his phone and started typing, probably emailing someone about this train wreck. Deere tried to recover. Look, we can match whatever numbers you threw out. Triple even? Let's not be rash. I smiled without humor. It's too late. Come on, he said, almost whispering now. We've got history. You made your choice the day you threw us in the basement. His mouth opened again, but no words came out. Cameron checked her watch. We've got another meeting in 20 minutes. Good luck with the next quarter. Cameron didn't even make it to her car before I texted Luke. Everyone in the basement in 10, now. They were already halfway through packing when I walked in. Ren looked up like she was expecting more bad news. Noor sat frozen with her hands on her keyboard. Dax didn't even look away from his screen. I shut the door behind me. We're out. The words hit like a thunderclap. Vega stood up slowly. Out like... moved again? No, I said. Out like free. Noor blinked. What? I held up a folder and tossed it onto the table. Cameron's firm hired me. Executive role, and every single one of you has a standing offer. Better money, real offices, no pipes, no surprises. For 2 full seconds, no one said anything. Then Ren let out this half laugh, half gasp. You're serious? Monday morning. If you want in, the spots are waiting. Kyrie stood. All of us? Every last one. Vega sat back down like his knees gave out. He rubbed the back of his neck hard enough to leave a mark. Jesus. 32 years. Thought I'd retire in this dump. You still can, I said. But now you'll have air conditioning. The room exploded. Cheers, disbelief, a couple F-bombs. Ren hugged Noor. Luke shook my hand and didn't let go for a full 10 seconds. Vega wiped his eyes and muttered something about needing to sit. Once they settled, I pulled out a second folder. Here's the deal. We leave clean. No drama, no firebombs, full documentation, perfect handoffs. We go out the same way we worked, sharp, professional, untouchable. Dax nodded slowly. You've been planning this. Since Deere started moving walls around. Luke raised a brow. And you didn't say anything? I needed them to think we were still under control. That's why we documented. That's why we backed up. Ren crossed her arms. And the board? Already approved. Cameron cleared it yesterday. That got a long, low whistle from Kyrie. We mapped out the final week right then. Transition guides by Thursday. Asset inventory by Friday. Last ticket reviews over the weekend. Clean, tight, surgical. 3 days in, Deere showed his face again. He came alone, no coffee this time. Looked worn out, like someone had yanked the power cord from his suit. Listen, he said, standing just inside the door. I know things have been rocky, but I spoke with the board. They want to make things right. I didn't say anything. Across the board. New equipment, expanded roles, a fresh start. You don't have to leave. I stood up. Too late. I know I screwed up. You buried a performing team in a moldy storage closet and handed our work to a clown in a blazer. I didn't know, he said, voice cracking a little. They sold me. You sold us. He dropped his gaze. I don't want this to end ugly. It won't, I said. We're leaving clean. He left without another word. That night, I got the call. Jan's voice was calm, direct, just like her emails. I've been reviewing your team's performance history, she said, and the last 3 quarters paint a clear picture. I waited. We're restructuring, she said. I want to make this right. Let's discuss building a new department, one that reports directly to me. I leaned back in my chair, heart pounding. Why now? She didn't dodge it. The board pushed Bastion on me. I didn't fight hard enough. That's on me. I'd like to fix it. I didn't give her an answer yet, not that night. I stayed in the office after Yanni hung up, just sat there, lights off, thinking. I didn't need long. The offer spoke for itself. Next morning, I called the team in early. Everyone filed into the basement, still ours for now. Some looked tired. Dax had a half-eaten bagel in one hand. Vega was already in work mode. Luke just watched me. I've got something, I said. Another offer came in last night. They froze. From who? Ren asked. Jan. Noor raised an eyebrow. The Yane? She wants to build a new department. Reports directly to her. Better package than Cameron's. Full budget. My call on everything Dax blinked. So now they care? She admitted it, I said. The board forced Bastion on her. She didn't push back, but now she wants to use the fallout to restructure. Ren crossed her arms. So, after everything, we're just supposed to trust her? That's the question, I said. And I'm not answering it for you. No one spoke for a second. Kyrie finally said, So what? We toss Cameron's offer and just pretend this all didn't happen? Not exactly, I said. Because we don't have to choose one or the other. They all looked at me. We split. Vega narrowed his eyes. It's split how? 4 stay here, 3 go to Cameron's team. We run the bridge, shared tools, joint R&D, no lost visibility, just more reach. Dax leaned forward. 2 companies, 1 team. Luke grinned. You sneaky bastard. Noor nodded slowly. We'd have leverage on both sides. Exactly, I said. They can't ignore us now. We'll be visible to 2 executive boards, not 1. And if one side starts slipping, the other keeps us protected. Kyrie looked around. So, who stays? I pulled out a notepad. Up to you. But we need balance. Testers, devs, systems, ops. You tell me where you belong. They started talking, slowly at first, then all at once. Ren and Noor were set on Cameron. They were done with the building, the politics, the ghosts. Kyrie wanted to stay, said she'd rather fix what was broken than start over. Luke and Dax voted to split, 1 on each side. Vega said he'd go wherever I needed him. I watched them debate. There was no drama, just logic, honesty, mutual respect. By lunch, we had it locked. Luke, Kyrie, Vega, and I would stay. Dax, Noor, and Ren would launch with Cameron. Clean cut, but not a goodbye. More like opening a second front. Once they left the room, I made 2 calls. Cameron first. We want to move forward, I said, with a slight adjustment. She didn't hesitate. If it keeps your team intact, I'm in. Then I called Yane. She answered on the second ring. Tell me, we're in, but there's a split. She was quiet for a beat. You want to maintain dual operations? Not just want, I said. We've already mapped it. Coordinated assets, shared systems, cross-pipeline support. And you'll run both ends? With Cameron's backing. Another pause. Then, smart. Send me the plan. By the end of the day, both sides had signed off. We weren't just surviving anymore. We were running the show. I was still in the office going over system logs when I got the text. Board meeting moved up to tomorrow morning. Bastion still slotted to present. Thought you should know. No name, just the message. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my go bag from under the desk and walked straight to the basement. No time to waste. They were spread out. Kyrie rewriting a test script, Vega labeling spare equipment, Luke double-checking handoff files. I closed the door behind me. Change of plans. Board meets tomorrow. Head snapped up. They moved it? Kyrie asked. I nodded. Bastion's still presenting. We're not waiting anymore. Noor, who had just come by to drop off one of Dax's tools, raised her eyebrows. You're going in? We're all going in. I pulled a folder from my bag and dropped it on the table. Inside were 7 sealed envelopes. Luke opened his. What is this? Instructions? Each packet has what you need. Metrics, project logs, resource charts, everything we've built. Don't open it until I give the signal. Vega chuckled. You planned this? Since the first pipe started leaking. Kyrie's hands were shaking. You're really doing it. No, I said. We are. Next morning, we showed up clean. Suits, laptops, no visible nerves. The receptionist at the top floor gave us a confused look when we signed in as a group. Then Jan came around the corner and waved us in. We weren't on the agenda, but we were expected. The boardroom smelled like espresso and money. Long table, 12 chairs. Bastian stood at the far end, tapping through a glossy presentation full of vague bar charts and words like agility and restructuring vectors. Deere was beside him, wearing that same overconfident smirk he always had when he thought no one would call him out. Today's presentation will show the direct results of our strategic overhaul, Deere said, motioning toward Bastian. We've seen massive productivity improvements and culture shifts across engineering. I stood up. Can we validate that? Deere blinked. Excuse me? I reached into my folder, gave a quick nod, and the team followed. 7 envelopes slid across the table. I handed Yanni her copy personally. These are the real numbers, 5-year performance logs, before and after Bastian's arrival, resource allocations, ticket throughput, server costs, and background documentation. One of the board members, Patel, opened his first. What is this? Proof that 78% of the department's total output came from my team, even while we were exiled to the basement. Another board member flipped a page. These are lawsuits? Yes, I said. That's Bastian's history. Failed implementations, client complaints, 2 ongoing suits over data loss, 1 bankruptcy filing, all public record. Somehow overlooked in the rush to bring him in, Bastian's face went white. Deere stammered. This is slander. It's documentation, I said, unlike what you presented. Yan sat back and crossed her arms. I've reviewed it. It checks out. Bastian looked at her. She cut him off. Enough. We're moving forward with the split team model, joint project leadership. Oversight transfers from Deere to, she turned to me, you. Deere started to protest, but Patel raised a hand. We need to discuss this privately. Of course, Jan said. Gentlemen, Deere and Bastian were both asked to leave the room. They didn't speak on the way out. Once the door closed, the tension dropped like a dead weight. Jan looked at me with the first real smile I'd seen from her since the day I started. So, she said, when can you start as director? We celebrated that night at a bar 3 blocks from the office. One of those loud, crowded places with cheap drafts and sticky tables. Didn't matter. We owned that space. Ren and Noor flew in for it. Dax showed up straight from the airport with a duffel still over his shoulder. Even Kyrie wore real shoes. Luke ordered the first round without asking. The moment we sat down, I pulled out my phone and held it up. A message from Jan, short and clean. Full directorship effective Monday. Budget signed. Let's build. The table exploded. Cheers, clinks, high fives. Vega actually stood on his chair and yelled, "We run the goddamn place now!" before someone pulled him down. Ren leaned in. So, this was your plan all along? I shook my head. Nah, the original goal was survival. I just wanted us protected. She raised an eyebrow. And the restructure? That came later. Once I realized no one was coming to save us, splitting the team turned out to be the smartest move we ever made. We had leverage. We had options. Most important, we had each other's backs, no matter which building we worked in. 6 months later, people in the industry were calling it the blueprint. Cross-company innovation, zero burnout, record-level output. Every conference we went to, someone asked us how we pulled it off. The answer was always the same. We didn't wait for permission. Both companies got better because of it. We built internal tools that scaled across departments, rewrote vendor contracts, set the bar for hybrid engineering teams. And us? We stopped looking over our shoulders. Last I heard, Deere landed in middle management at some third-rate logistics firm out in Indiana. Bastion's on LinkedIn calling himself a culture coach and posting motivational crap nobody likes. Meanwhile, we've got something real, something that lasts. No more basements, just sunlight. Real offices, real decisions, full control. I looked around that table. Ren tossing fries at Dax, Noor, and Kyrie, arguing over who really fixed the Jenkins server last quarter. Luke laughing like he hadn't in years. Vega leaned over, lifted his glass, and said it loud and proud. To the basement. We all raised ours, and we drank. Not out of spite or bitterness, out of satisfaction. Best revenge? Never being vulnerable to someone like Deer again.